done this for fun, just a way to get out and let people of color know that, hey, we can ride too.
A new movement to create community by connecting community is on a roll.
Okay, we rolling!
There's so many important, amazing things on videotape. I still have some tapes that are from 2007.
It's a tiny nonprofit with a huge mission: preserve Seattle's history before it fades away. And a thriving arts program helps Yesler Terrace residents cope with the rapidly changing community. These stories and more next on CityStream. Hello, I'm Dennis Bounds and welcome to CityStream from SIFF Cinema Uptown on Lower Queen Anne. The Uptown Theater opened its doors in 1926, featuring a 500-seat auditorium. Later, 2 smaller screens were added. In late 2010, movie operator AMC delivered bad news. The Uptown was closing, but not for long. The following year, the Seattle International Film Festival reopened it as SIFF Cinema Uptown, and a grateful community cheered this link to the past would live on. Community is also a big part of this next story. Black Girls Do Bike is a growing effort to get women of color on 2 wheels. Now it's shifting gears, moving beyond cycling and steering women on a road to empowerment. Brian Callanan reports.
Oh, come on in! Come on in!
Phyllis Porter is focused on 2 wheels and 1 mission, called Black Girls Do Bike.
Black Girls Do Bike is a movement. It's a movement to get women on bikes, also young girls.
BGDB is a national organization founded in 2013 to help grow a larger community of women of color who are passionate about cycling. With more than 80 chapters now in the U.S. and Antigua, led by so-called sheroes, Black Girls Do Bike helps women gain confidence in a physically and environmentally healthy form of transportation on the road to empowerment.
Does everyone know what a greenway is?
On this afternoon, Phyllis is leading the annual Urban Agriculture Bike Tour around South Seattle.
Okay, we rolling!
It's a way to bring attention not only to Black Girls Do Bike, but also to public health concerns and other issues in this neighborhood.
We're one of the best food banks in regards to fresh produce.
Here at the Rainier Valley Food Bank, the tour group is learning how fruits and vegetables from local gardens are connecting Seattle's growers with those who need help the most.
We want to be more involved in what's going on around our own community. Just because you live in a particular neighborhood doesn't mean that you need to be left out.
For cyclist and city council member Teresa Mosqueda, Black Girls Do Bike is part of a larger conversation about equity when it comes to where and how Seattle builds transportation infrastructure.
And historically, we as a community, as a country, have not invested in communities of color or lower income communities. This is our chance. Let's build a bike network that connects communities.
It's a discussion not without controversy. Some critics have called bike lanes white lanes. Small minority-owned businesses claim their car parking spots are taken away by lanes for cyclists, who are most often not people of color.
And that's why I think it's important for us to get away from this misnomer. Bikes should be for everyone.
In fact, studies say Latinos and African Americans are the fastest growing groups of cyclists, which Mosqueda hopes will fuel her work on a project with the acronym ALEGRA.
All ages, languages, ethnicities, genders, races, and abilities, because I want people to see themselves reflected in the infrastructure that we're creating.
It's a cultural shift in thinking about our roads and the people who use them that Mosqueda says can help build a better city.
I think that this is a great example for us to come together, address many concerns that some community members have about losing parking spaces, but also thinking about the ways that we create community when we connect communities.
At this visit to the Amy Yee Tennis Center orchard,
Good.
the taste of local produce couldn't be sweeter.
Our mission is to nourish with good food, empower with knowledge, and serve with compassion.
Holly Schreiber of the Rainier Valley Food Bank, who organized the Urban Ag Bike Tour, says her work and the work of Black Girls Do Bike are on the same path in more ways than one.
We feel like it's important to incorporate all of the community.
That effort to plant some seeds and grow a healthy city with safe transportation options is something Schreiber says can only happen one pedal-pushing moment at a time.
I don't have all the answers. I know that the food bank wants to be part of the solution, and this is a really great way through Urban Ag for us to start that dialogue.
And importantly, it's a dialogue that happens from the seat of a bicycle for riders like Paula Moranin.
Being on two wheels gives you a chance to slow down and see your neighbors' faces and to see the things that are happening on the side of the street.
So what is happening? It's not just the building of a movement called Black Girls Do Bike. It's a shift in the way we understand the city of Seattle.
It's about taking both sort of the power and the responsibility around health and justice in our own communities. What we're really fighting is poverty and displacement and racism. And how do you as a community empower yourself? How do you as a community come together and really claim those spaces and claim those opportunities to fight hunger, to fight poverty, to fight systemic racism?
Truly connecting our city and changing the conversation about transportation infrastructure is a long journey, but it begins with the simple message of Black Girls Do Bike.
It's for freedom, it's for fun, just a way to get out and let people of color know that, hey, we can ride too.
To find the next event near you, look up Black Girls Do Bike Seattle on Facebook.
There's so many important, amazing things on videotape. I still have some tapes that are from 2007.
Aging VHS tapes are a big problem for a small museum. Our Seattle nonprofit is coming to the rescue. Next on CityStream. CityStream returns from SIFF Cinema Uptown, which will soon screen the 20th annual animation show of shows. 15 short films from around the world, 7 days, and it all begins March 8th. All the films are memorable. Several are Academy Award nominees, including this one. This is From One Small Step, a story of a young Chinese-American girl named Luna who dreams of becoming an astronaut. The lesson here is to pursue your dreams and never give up. One of the directors, Bobby Pontius, is proof that method works. His first job was at the Seattle Game Company. He worked by day and took online animation classes at night. That led him to the Walt Disney Company. Now he's a founding partner of Taiko Studio. They say great films never die, but the methods used to record them have a limited life. It's hard to imagine VHS tapes as historic, but some date back 40 years, and they're disintegrating. And those are video records produced both privately and publicly. There's a small West Seattle museum preserving its VHS tapes with the help of a tiny nonprofit based in Seattle City Hall. Diane Duthweiler explains.
Sort of knew what we had. We had a few oral histories and a few meetings and things like that on tapes, but then when we found all the other ones, we got really excited.
My name is Ada Woodhouse Hallberg. I came home from Swedish Hospital to a house that my grandfather Bowden had built, and that was at 2613 Marine Avenue Southwest.
Ada Hallberg in that video talks about how everybody learned to swim in Elliott Bay.
Jen Zook is the volunteer digitizing more than 100 VHS and other tapes belonging to the Southwest Seattle Historical Society.
The oral histories, I think, are the most fun.
Ada Hallberg tells of her parents, Grace and John Woodhouse.
He worked in the woods and was a lumberman for a while. He was a member of the Wobblies, which was a union. George Bartell was John Woodhouse family neighbor. And so John had been an errand boy for Bartell, and maybe that's why he decided to become a pharmacist.
Brewster Denny gives a first-person account of the Denny Party, the boatload of settlers who landed in West Seattle in 1851.
Of the 24 people who landed at Alki Point, I knew only one, and that was Roland Herschel Denny, the 2-month-old baby who had been born in Portland after crossing the plains with his pregnant mother.
Brewster Denny calls it Alki Point.
Brewster Denny's pronunciation was the correct one. This is based out of a Chinook jargon word. The Chinook jargon was the trade language.
Ken Hollison's interview is really interesting. He was an anthropologist who worked with local tribes, and he worked closely with the Duwamish, trying to get them recognition, tribal recognition.
The white guys come in, Denny and Doc Maynard and that, so the Indians helped them survive. And gradually more and more settlers came in and they began to take the land. So the Indians became refugees in their own land, and they didn't have civil rights.
White Center real estate agent Elliot Cowden worked to end housing discrimination. President Johnson invited him to Washington, D.C.
He was trying to calm the country down after Kennedy's shocking demise, and he had different groups coming into the White House.
It's different than you might read about in old newspapers. He's so humble about it, and it's such a big deal.
But the treasured tapes are getting harder and harder to play and see.
The longer they sit without being processed, they become demagnetized, and so you're literally having information kind of, for lack of a better word, it's basically dissolving off the tapes.
Yes, honey, I am getting too close to this war now and ready to come home.
Not all of them have been cataloged by the museum.
Preserving videos like these is an urgent task.
A lot of the tapes that come through are like damaged or like just they're degrading, so the image quality is not as great. Sometimes they won't play, and so it's called the magnetic media crisis.
Libby Hopfoff digitizes and archives videos at Moving Image Preservation of Puget Sound, or MIPoPS. The nonprofit is helping Southwest Seattle Historical Society convert and store its tapes.
We can do Betacam, Betacam SP, Digibeta, U-matic, VHS, SVHS, VHS-C, 1-inch, D2, Laserdisc, and Hi8 and DBCam. There's so many important, amazing things on videotape from about 1970 into the I still have some tapes that are from 2007.
MIPoPS occupies this tiny office in Seattle City Hall rent-free in exchange for helping the city digitize its massive video collection.
Completion of the dome meant the arrival of Major League Sports. First on the scene was professional soccer.
And yes, one of the original Sounders investors is smoking at the press conference announcing the Kingdome deal. MIPoP's archive page contains hundreds of saved videos like this one. One of Libby's favorites?
It's this PSA from Seattle City Light. The lyrics were written by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Watch your heat bill take a dive. Watch your heat bill take a dive. Don't use heat all night and all day.
Reduce your chills and cut your bills. And it's very delightfully cheesy.
Fun aside.
This videotape was cheap, film wasn't, and they were able to capture all of these people, like real people doing real things. And so there are all these unique moments of our history that wasn't necessarily written about or talked about. For all these organizations we work with, it's just as important as a document or a painting. It's a record of either art or history that needs to be preserved.
The Southwest Seattle Historical Society agrees and is grateful future generations will have better access to its video history.
You know, when Chief Seattle died, it was the pioneers who buried him.
It's been really exciting to get them up and digitized. I'm excited for them to be searchable.
The Southwest Seattle Historical Society is looking to identify all people, all places they're seeing in their digital preservation project. If you think you can help, they'd love to hear from you.
Electric bills got you down.
Also, you can find a link to the City Light wrap, the Kingdome video, and many other interesting things on the MIPoPS archive page. We have their website up on the screen for you, archive.org/details/MIPoPS. And in case you're wondering, MIPoPS stands for Moving Image Preservation of Puget Sound. We'll be right back. And we're back at SIFF Cinema Uptown. We have a special guest, Beth Barrett, who's Artistic Director of the Seattle International Film Festival. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, happy to be here.
We are in this great theater. It's almost a century old. People love it, and SIFF saved it.
We did. It had been running as an AMC, but we took it over in 2011 and then reopened in October of 2011 as this amazing art house theater. It's been running continuously as a movie theater since 1926, which is a little unheard of in the theater world. But what we do here is a mix of first-run films, art house, documentary, international titles, rentals, events, short film packages, just a little bit of everything, because we are really an arts community hub here in the Uptown neighborhood, and are really proud to be here.
You have a great event coming up, the Animation Show of Shows. Yes. I believe it's March 8th.
Yep.
We have a trailer to look at.
Oh, great.
Let's look at it right now, and then we'll come back on the other side and chat a bit.
Terrific.
Pretty impressive offerings. It's going to be a great time. What else will we see during it?
It's really exciting. There are 15 short films from 6 different countries around the world, and including 6 student films, which is really great. Really the young filmmakers of the world. They are not for every viewer. Some of them are a little more adult. There's some adult situations, but it's a really great microcosm of the world, told through animation. It's their 20th year of doing this program.
Well, what else can we expect here at the theater during the year?
We have so many things coming up. We've got Never Look Away, which is nominated for an Academy Award, opening the same day, the 8th of March. We've got, over at the Egyptian, we've got the Cat Internet Video Festival on March 2nd and 3rd, which is exactly what it sounds like.
And it'll be popular,
Internet
too.
Cats, pretty amazing collection of films. Also The Legend of the Demon Cat that same week. And then on March 9th, again at the Egyptian with the encore here on the 10th, the Science Fiction and Fantasy Short Film Festival, which we do in collaboration with MIPoPS.
Okay, let's talk about your baby.
Yeah.
The 45th annual Seattle International Film Festival comes up this May.
Yes, 84 days away.
And what will we be seeing?
We'll be seeing, again, films from around the world. We are really focused on bringing the world to Seattle and those international voices and voices that we don't get to hear all the time. Women directors, filmmakers of color, stories that are incredible, but yet we don't necessarily get to see. We'll have about 400 films from about 80 countries. This year we have, I know, just a few things. This year we have a special focus on German language film with the Goethe Institute's Deutschlandjahr, which is a celebration of German-American cultural cooperation. So it's really exciting to be able to bring all those here to Seattle and the neighborhood.
Look forward to it. Last question,
yes.
Fun question.
Yeah.
How many movies do you see in a year?
In a year? Probably about 500 or 600. I've watched 2 today already. So,
really?
Yep, that's some great films. Yeah, shorts, features, documentaries.
Are they all good?
You know, they are, yes.
Good answer. Beth Barrett, Artistic Director for the Seattle International Film Festival. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks, Dennis. Nice to talk to you.
Next on CityStream, the city uses art to help Yesler Terrace residents cope with change. Yesler Terrace was the nation's first integrated housing project when it opened in 1941. Now it's undergoing a dramatic facelift, and its completion is still years away. Its residents fear it's losing its character and culture. The city hopes to ease that transition using an unorthodox means: art. Nils Cowan explains.
If you've been in Seattle's changing Yesler Terrace neighborhood recently, you may have noticed an unusual sight, besides the ongoing construction. The Yesler Arts Mobile Studio, or YAMS, is a customized RV designed to bring together art and community in this multi-ethnic neighborhood. YAMS and the artists who use it are playing an important role in the neighborhood's ongoing transition. 35-year-old George Lee is one of several artists commissioned by the Seattle Housing Authority to create works that reflect Yesler's cultural heritage. He's been working with residents for more than a year on the design of a small park nicknamed The Grove.
Part of the mission is to engage with the place in a deep way, engage with community directly, and have that influence the works. And that's kind of what I like to do with my sculpture.
Inspired by the Monterey cypress seeds found in the park and those planted by community residents, Lee began designing a sculpture made entirely of seeds, blown up to human size.
I like to work spatially, generally on a larger scale. By building these, and I can roll them around, I can move them around, and immediately get us that spatial sense, and also to really be inspired by the spirit of the place. Yesler's changing quite a bit from almost this urban suburb where people have yards and you can garden into really what is like a cosmopolitan, super dense, mixed income center. I'm hoping that the Grove and the art in the Grove is kind of like a little bit of a refuge.
Yesler's current facelift is a dramatic change for one of Seattle's most storied neighborhoods.
Yesler Terrace was built around the 1940s, and it was the first publicly subsidized housing in Seattle.
Yesler Terrace also became the nation's first racially integrated public housing project. But in the mid-2000s, with the buildings aging and development pressures mounting, the city decided it was time to revitalize the neighborhood.
The redevelopment process will take Yesler from a low-income garden community to a new mixed-income community. One of the most densely populated areas in Seattle.
But some community members feared the redevelopment would also bulldoze the neighborhood's unique culture.
The city have no clear plan to mitigate this situation.
To address these fears and provide a way for residents to participate in the redevelopment, city planners turned to art.
The arts programs at Yesler Terrace, they represent a particular approach to development, providing not just buildings for people to live in, but opportunities for culture, for new experiences, and new ways to build relationships and memories.
Who's coming in?
The Yesler Arts Mobile Studio is a key part of bringing art and the artistic process to residents.
This is going to be a new park. This is Broadway.
Crossway and First.
Today, sculptor George Lee is presenting his design for the neighborhood park to community members from Vietnam and Cambodia.
This is for like memory of what we've been doing, you know, planting in the garden, background culture, you know.
Yeah,
like
some of those seeds are from the tree, and some of them are like crops that humans grow.
My name is Lan. I live in Yesler Terrace community more than 10 years Working with George is he's very creative.
The geometry of this seed is the same as the geometry of these structures.
He listen and share and kind of bring back our culture memory.
In my country, I love grow something.
So you were a farmer before you came?
Yeah, before.
It's bring the community together, we can share, stuff like that.
So it's about like hosting and coming together. Because I feel like Yesler is a place that has hosted people.
I like it.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Bring home if you try to expand to
I think art has been a natural way for communities to transition, but never kind of more official. Taking leadership around arts and culture and community is very, very important. I think it's like one of the only reasons we're like alive, essentially, to experience some of that stuff.
With every new board and rivet, the Yesler of old fades further into the past. And while the neighborhood will never be the same, the creative work being done by the community ensures that it won't be wholly different either.
Since this story first aired in 2017, Yesler Terrace has changed considerably. For one, the Thriving Arts program has moved out of the RV and into an apartment unit. Also, low-income and market-rate units have gone up on site. And last August, Yesler Terrace Park opened in the heart of this rapidly changing neighborhood. Mayor Durkin even got in on the action. The park offers a variety of play structures, and various sculptural installations help celebrate the community's cultural heritage, including this centerpiece at the main plaza, which becomes Spray Park during summertime. The new 2-acre park sits adjacent to the Yesler Community Center. We'll be right back. And that wraps up this episode of CityStream from SIFF Cinema Uptown. If you'd like to learn more about the upcoming animation show of shows or the Seattle International Film Festival, go to their website, siff.net. I'm Dennis Bounds. Thanks for watching. By the way, I hear the popcorn here is pretty good.